For nearly 25 years, I've attended, spoken at, listened to, and contributed to untold numbers of threads and themes in the wealth technology space. Yet to me, something still is missing. It's the human stories and perspectives of wealth management. How does all this wealth technology impact investors and those that support them? I'm Doug Fritz, CEO and founder of F2 Strategy, and host to our new Get Vocal series, On the Road with the Man in the Van. And I'm determined to look at technology of wealth in a whole new way, one that I hope connects all of us with the more human side of what we do. So buckle up and join me as the humans of wealth technology are about to get vocal.
Let's bring this home to I mean my comfort level around technology. And you and I met the very, very, very first time we met would have been when we were really changing around the technology for the private bank wells.
But trying. I said trying, right? You were trying to.
I did a lot of good stuff.
Yes, you did. I think you had some roadblocks, bureaucratic.
There were some roadblocks. I agree. Tell me your experience with technology. I mean, you've been in Silicon Valley, right? So you've been working here in the West Coast for a long time. And you've had a chance to work at large firms and now at a small firm. Talk about your experience with like your technology, maybe how that's evolved over time, but your personal kind of journey with your tools.
Okay, I'm 50. And so the majority of my career has been focused in window-based technology. And I am a slow adopter, right? I'm slow to adapt and adopt newer technology personally. The large national bank we worked at, right? Mostly Windows-based systems. So I was very used to that, comfortable with it. I would tell you a little unaware. That would be it. I was truly 3 years ago at this key point. 3 years ago, I was unaware of the lag or the lack of knowledge I had around technology. Mm-hmm. So fast forward, June of 2018, I joined Ellevest and my mind is blown because there's this whole new world of fintech, which, I'd heard about fintech and it's a robo-advisor, but it's everything that is happening within a fintech firm to create efficiencies for the clients, for the compliance team, for the investment managers, for the financial wealth advisors, the financial planning, right? Every step along the way, it's how do we create this platform to be more efficient, more secure, more nimble. And I would tell you, going from the old firm to the new firm, there were 6 months of, what is Salesforce, Google Drive, Slack, everything Apple-based, or not Apple-based, but we're using.
If you're using Slack at Ellevest, like that is so slick. That is.
And I'm not even doing the tech justice a service because I can't even recall all the different things that I've had to use now and adopt. And I think about even something simple as Expensify, right? A web or a smartphone app to do expenses versus the manual pages you'd have to do at the big, large national firm. So things like that. I will tell you, I came in immediately. Ellevest assigned an engineer to work with me and said, hey, you've got this, 20 plus years of experience in financial services. Work with an engineer, tell her, which I like, tell her, more than 50% of our engineers are females, what you would like or what you would like to have happen for your clients. And I was like, well, it would be great if, a lot of the prospecting and onboarding for a new client was done electronically. And you didn't have to have these reams of paper, kill these trees to open a new account. And they're like, well, of course, we can do that. There's DocuSign. I'm like, you can? And compliance? Totally. So anyways, a month later, engineer comes to me and says, I want to walk you through this onboarding wizard. Just, let me know what you think about from a client's perspective. 1 month. It is the easiest onboarding experience. So in the past, when I had worked with prospective clients, it was always like, oh no, Doug, this is going to be horribly difficult to move their 10 million from JP Morgan to Wells Fargo. Very difficult. It is so simple and easy now. Yeah. And it's an easy lift from a client's perspective. Before, they had to think about moving advisors or switching advisors like a divorce. And this is gonna take 6 months, and I have to employ all these people. FinTech makes it so easy.
I love it. Are you more efficient with that technology?
I am so much more efficient.
That's what I want. People need to hear that, because I think some folks see the new stuff, they're like, fancy, but are they more productive and more efficient?
Yes. Well, Doug, what I will say is I didn't know what I didn't know. So I never had the opportunity to really say, and I had the opportunity at our prior firm to sit with you and say, well, this is what I'd like to see for my clients. It's then really hard if you don't have the bandwidth or you're in this bureaucratic organization to get all these things changed. Here, I'm working with one engineer. It's a flat company. And they're like, great, we'll do this and this and this. And the compliance approves it. It's secure. Our chief technology people, and it's secure. Check the box. Okay, done.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I love that. So
very much more efficient. Yeah. I will tell you, I'm made fun of by some of my younger peers because they're like, oh, Allison, you'll figure it out at some point. And I'm like, I'm approaching 3 years here. But
is there a statute of limitations on the new girl? Yeah. No? Okay, good. So I love that story. And Ellevest, I would say first for folks that may only know you guys a little bit, I mean, clearly you know you a lot, but and I know you guys fairly well, has invested in technology, not just in like the vendors, but your own, like building technology yourself.
Yes.
In a way that I really don't know any other firms that are of your size and your growth rate that are doing it that way. And I think that it'll be a really fascinating, well, maybe just for me, but maybe other people too, to see Ellevest in 5 years, to see that tech investment from a cost, because there's an upfront cost to build it, but you save long term. If you continue to innovate it, you can be more innovative and more nimble because you've invested in development talent. Most of our other, RIA sort of mid-range billion plus RIA firms generally just are going for vendor solutions and just sort of hoping that they can integrate them. I think it's going to be a fascinating experience to watch Ellevest in 3 to 5 years and see how far you can go as a smaller firm developing. Big firms, of course, they're going to spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on technology. But you guys are a fascinating example of really doing it different. I think that's fantastic.
And I'm loving it. I would say it is, the adage, adapt or die. And I think I'm lucky to thrive with a lot of changes in life. And I think recognizing and coming in at first to Ellevest, I really had to say, well, I don't even know what I don't know. Yeah. Like Gmail, Google Drive, like some, very basic technology that some people are like, you don't know that? I'm like, oh, no, I don't. So
what, when you think about, so you've got your own development and design group, but maybe broader, and you're still going to see some benefits. I know you guys do use some other. You don't develop everything. You do use some outside technology.
Right, we do.
When you think about like the technology world, and it could be the fintech world, it could be like the tech folks that are trying to get you to use whatever vendor app it is. Like, what do you think people get wrong when it comes to, and this can even go back to your big company days of folks like me trying to, make your life easier. What did we get wrong?
I will tell you what you get wrong. I already know. I think, go ahead with your question.
What did we get wrong? Like, what did Doug, not exactly what did Doug get wrong? We don't need to bring that up on Doug's podcast, but what do people, let's call us people, get wrong?
Exactly.
Don't make me.
Yeah. No, not you. So money is very personal.
Okay.
And I think not understanding people's past experiences, failures, wins, hesitations around money, investing in certain things, language you use. And so in some cases, and I will think about the prospecting component, right? You can automate that and do Salesforce campaigns and send out to 500 people. We have an amazing social media reach, so we can get that out. The follow-up, there has to be a human interaction, I think, for helping move the needle with private wealth, right? So people with over $1 million. It becomes incredibly personal, and having a one-size-fits-all from the robo space, 10,000, client with $10,000 to a client with $10 million, you really have to set parameters that are going to customize when needed. Because again, that behavioral finance, understanding, and explaining certain things, whether it's coming across an email or user experience, right? We've spent a lot of time. How do we make the user experience very intuitive for women? And a lot of, male clients might come and say, well, wait a minute, though. It doesn't look like the Schwab brokerage platform. Nope, it doesn't. It's much more intuitive, and we're trying to make sure that it is, meeting the criteria for a certain woman. And so the one size fits all does not always apply, I think. And that's one where you're going to need some level of customization, period. And human interaction, it can't all be just modeled out, I think, with tech.
I love it. I totally agree. Sort of casting our vision to the future a little bit. When you think about the future of technology, this could be Ellevest, could be more broad, like just as an industry. But what do you see as an area where technology needs to get better, and maybe even hypothetically, are there needs that we even currently have or we're evolving into that are unmet by any wealth management firm today that really need to be focused on it? And I think people that will be listening to this might come from the private equity venture side. There might be folks that are actually fintech or tech executives that are starting up companies and really good at starting it, as well as executives at larger, well-known wealth firms are kind of listening to this. So, what is it that, from Allison's chair, the technology landscape needs to evolve to or move faster towards, a focus on that you don't think we're focusing on right now?
It's a lot of the big questions we get is around security. And I think creating something that is more comfortable, more user friendly for individual private wealth private wealth clients, people who have, large sums of money ready to invest, but coming at them with hey, we're this tech savvy firm. You just share your statements here. It's a quick, easy link. If I am not a little delicate in some of that outreach and those discussions and explaining fully, this is how secure it is, right? Taking a step back. If I just sent that all via email, in some cases, the client or the prospective client is it's way too technology savvy for me. So I think acknowledging that not every individual is ready to work in a fintech world, and there may be some needs to pivot and do things old school, right? I have a couple clients, they don't want to share anything electronically. So we're making a trip to the post office and mailing something. So I think tech, if it can be done in a way that allows those people who have the greater hesitancy, if it's done in a way where the user experience is more intuitive and more descriptive of the security protocols, I think that then gets a greater buy-in. I've seen a greater buy-in by prospective clients and clients over the last 12 months with Zoom, and kind of been able to kind of work around that, but it takes a lot of explanation. So I think the tech field and the fintech try to, we have this and it's going to work. I think you do have to kind of take a step back and say, how do we approach this for these people who are really still hesitant about going on tech?
I love that. And this is with most conversations with you, Allison, is my mind wouldn't have gone there for you. It wouldn't have gone if that is so true. We can be, and you are one of the most tech advanced wealth management firms today, and headed with a trajectory of innovation that exceeds everybody else, in my opinion. But that you're focused on those clients that may not be ready to go with the firm. And I think that's an astonishingly insightful concept, that we have to continue to be innovative, but not at the expense of where people need to be met right now. And help them.
I would hate for someone to say, well, if you're not going to just work online on our platform and just do this, we're not going to, sorry, we can't serve you.
Yeah. Or feel drug along when they don't feel comfortable being drug along. And then God forbid something happens and they're like, I knew it all along and I should have listened to and then they're going to go back to, Luddite Central or someplace.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Allison, you're always amazing, and you've been a super huge fan of F2 from the very beginning. I cannot thank you enough for your support and your advocacy and like going back to the early part of this conversation, like who told you you could be successful versus who told you you couldn't be successful. You were always one of those voices that said like, yeah, you can do this, and this is something the industry needs, and you've been incredibly helpful and supportive to us. So I want to thank you both for the time and also just your support.
Happy to help.
And I just thank you so much for your time. And hopefully for folks that are listening or watching this, I mean, I always learn a ton from you, and I hope they do too. And I just want to thank you for spending time with me today, Allison.
Well, I thank you because both you and Liz have been a good sounding board for me when I'm like, what is this technology? And am I even asking the right question? So I appreciate that from your perspective as well. Awesome. Helping me get up to the mainstream in terms of technology.
I think you've exceeded that, Allison. So thank you so much, and thanks to folks participating, and have a great day.
Thanks. Take care.